Hey guys, it is John C. Morley here, Sir Entrepreneur. Welcome to IFYL Inspirations for Your Life. I'm so glad that you stopped by tonight. It's Sunday. Hopefully, you guys had a wonderful weekend. If you're new, just launch that camera app, point it over to the QR code like so, touch the yellow ellipse, which will get you my link tree with lots of great information, including my live weekly radio show on WTBQ 93.5. But you can listen to it anywhere around the world at WTBQ.com every Tuesday morning at 10:05 a.m. Eastern Time. Well, we start on a Saturday, which was just yesterday, and we roll all the way through the week, and we finish up on a Friday, and we have a master topic, and we get into some great modalities of that every single day. And we have that master topic for the entire week. We just get a little more granular with what we're talking about. And I want to thank you for coming back. You're supporting me, friends, colleagues, wonderful associates. I appreciate you so much from the bottom of my heart. And also, if you're coming back and rewatching us on the replays, 1 a.m., 1 p.m., 2 a.m., 2 p.m., 4 a.m., 4 p.m., 12 midnight, 12 noon, 6 p.m., 6 a.m., or whatever time you're watching us, I'm very grateful that you make the time to watch it when it's convenient. And you guys can always watch us many times again. Again, if some of these nuggets don't sink in right away, this is a lot of content. And sometimes, for whatever reason, it might go over our heads. So don't feel afraid to watch it again, because it'll definitely increase your bell curve and will help you become a better version of yourself even quicker. All right, let's get into the master topic. Here we are, ladies and gentlemen. It is, how to get engaged. Series 2, show 11, episode number 2. Series 2 means we're in our second year, by the way. I can't believe we're in the second year, but that's amazing. So when we talk about engaged, I'm not talking about weddings or anything like that. I'm talking more from a business perspective right now. And so in business, we think of things like, if we're going to let's say monitor social media, and what we mean by monitoring social media is that we're basically listing for certain hashtags and brand names so that we can actually get reactions around the globe. How you doing? So who am I talking to? I'm talking to lots of different people. As you know, the show also gets converted back into podcast audio form. Thank you so much for popping in. We basically today are talking about the fact of how to get engaged. Our podcast show has now over 500 some episodes. We're growing. I also have a radio show that's IFYL Drive Time Radio, and we're going to be going national by the end of the year. So really grateful for that. That's on WTBQ Radio in New York, New Jersey, AM/FM radio. Also, you can obviously stream it from WTBQ.com every Tuesday morning at 10:05 a.m. every Tuesday morning. So, I know the channel's like that, but remember, the content is being used in many different places, but I appreciate your observance. And a lot of people actually watch us on the replay. Not many people watch the live streams just because the time doesn't work for them. That's why I was thanking people for coming back on the replays. That's when we get a lot of people watching. So when we're talking about engagement, the first thing we have to really be about is monitoring social media. And so monitoring social media is something most people and companies don't do. It's when you're listening to a brand, and when you hear those brands in those comments, you're very welcome. Thank you so much. And so when we think about, that type of thing, you might say, John, what's that going to do for me? Well, if you're listening and monitoring for certain content and certain keywords or phrases, you're going to be able to jump into that conversation, and you might get an edge over your competitor, or you might learn something that you didn't know. Nice to meet you, Bojan, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. And you can always catch more information, by the way, Bojan, by going to believemeachieve.com. Pleasure to meet you as well. It is always a privilege and pleasure to meet and to serve everyone here on this wonderful, channel here on basically on LinkedIn. We're on Twitter. We're on Johnson Was Your Entrepreneur's group channel. We're on Twitch. We're on Twitter. And, I started this a while back because I really wanted to thank you so much. I really appreciate that, Bojan. I want to make sure I said your name correctly. I know one of the most important things to people is hearing the sound of their name, as Dale Carnegie once said. So when we talk about engagement, another thing that you can do is you can research other events in your trade and go attend them, whether that's online, whether that's in person. It could be trade shows, it could be just conferences, whatever it is, it really doesn't matter. The other thing that I want to tell you is you should always ask questions. Now, this is not like questions that you're trying to fire somebody at a detective ring. You're asking questions because you're genuinely interested in someone. For example, if it's in business, maybe they're having a challenge with the way they're doing something. You might say, "Hey, Bob, I noticed you guys are having a challenge with the way you're boxing those things. I was just curious, how have you been handling that?" And they may come back and say, "Hey, I'm not looking to buy anything. Oh, I wasn't looking to sell you anything. I just was wanting to know, how that problem is working for you, and is it costing you guys any money?" You see, when you have a conversation that is about, them, and you have to remember you're not important. You always put yourself in the background. And I have to ask you, Bojan, whereabouts are you from? What part of the country or what state? I always like to know where our listeners and viewers are from. And so, and incidentally, these audio casts, which get converted from the live cast, actually are ready usually within 24 hours on my podcast channel, which you can get at believemeachieve.com. Great, great. Whereabouts in Europe? I haven't been to Europe in a while. I definitely want to get back. I've traveled there many times with ALSG when they were around, American Leadership Study Groups. So love Europe. Just haven't been traveling outside of the United States for a little while with everything that's been going on. But I know that'll be probably picking up soon, and hopefully having some more keynotes outside the U.S. I have spoke for Harvard. I spoke for Yale, which I'm very grateful for. But been around Buffalo. Okay. Buffalo, New York. I know Buffalo. Sure. Buffalo's the part literally is like a stone throw from Canada. It's like you're like right there, and you can be like right by the falls there. And so when we think about asking questions we ask should always be open-ended questions, but they should never be, like I said, like you feel like you're in an interview that you're going to be, on trial or being interrogated. It should be, yes, it is an amazing place. I remember, I think it was the something of the mist, Made to the Mist. And, they give you the coat, you put the coat on, and you kind of get a little wet from that. And I always had a great time when I go there. There was a restaurant that I loved. In fact, when I went out there a long time ago, to tell you how long ago this was, I actually had my cell phone. But back then, we were getting charged for roaming. And roaming for just being in like Canada and stuff like that, which now they don't do anymore. So I went to this restaurant. I still remember to this day, it was a tourist restaurant. It was the restaurant that turns around in Canada. And when I was in the restaurant, I think my dinner was like $45. I mean, the food was okay. It wasn't fantastic. But I did this because when I was on there, yes, it definitely was a long time ago. And so when I was there, and let's say I noticed that I was getting out of roam range, I would just walk a little bit around the dome inside, and I'd be able to talk for several more minutes. And this way, I could not have to pay roaming. So even though I paid $45 or more for my lunch, that call might have cost me several $100. So I looked at it as that was a total win-win and really, really cool. So the other thing that most people don't understand is that they want to follow up because they want to make the sale. All right. So relationship selling is really important, but when you follow up, it's not just at the time of the sale. It should be after the sale. It should be during the sale, and it should be many months after sale, because people want to know that they're important. People want to know that there's a relationship there. There's so many people I talk to, and when you mention relationship, they're like, huh? What's a relationship? He's just looking to make money off of me. So following up is very important. Engaging people. So when you choose to engage your prospect, okay, or your prospect chooses to engage you as the person that's providing products or services to them, it is really refreshing because you come across as an educator. And I have to say that even though everyone is in sales, whether we're not selling or not, we're always selling ourselves, right? Whether it's our personality, and that may not cost a penny. It's just that we have to be cognizant of the fact that we're here to provide amazing quality content, even if we're not in the content business. And I don't know if you guys all know this, but I mention this a lot. I live for two reasons every single day of my life. One, to become a better version of myself. And two, to help others become better versions of themselves. And so this is why I do what I do. Very passionate. I have all kinds of other videos, such as science videos. I have motivational videos. I have what they call Jason Academy videos. I have other podcasts. I have a tech show, and I have an unboxing. There's so many other great things. And when you put content together and people, want to learn, it is a lot different than you saying, hey, I do this. So I always say to people, what I do isn't important. What I'm hoping you might be interested is improving your life. If you are, check out believemeachieve.com or scan that QR code, because how many people do you know in this world that want you to get better at what you do? I do. People are sometimes jealous. They're envious. Or if you get just a little bit ahead of them, they're like, oh, I don't want to help you anymore. But why should that be a detriment to helping people? And I'd say it shouldn't be. And if it is, then this means that you are doing it wrong. And if people are still saying, hey, I don't want to help you, I never get nasty to people. What do I think it is? In what regard, Bojan? What if you could just ask me more specifically, why? Why do people not care? Oh, why is it a detriment? So that's a great question. It's because when people are coming off as themselves, me first, all right, they miss opportunities, right? They miss the potential of where they could go, whether it's a relationship, whether it's learning something, whether it's volunteering, whether it's making a sale, but they miss that potential. And so I know, because I've had lots of friends in the financial industry, and it's always me first. There was even a guy that I knew for many, many years, and he actually lived in my condo building many years ago. And what happened was, every time I would leave, he would always be in a rush in the morning, and he would almost like knock me over. Well, finally, I think it was a year or two later, I met him at a local board meeting at our association, and I said to him, I'll just call Mike. That's his name. I say, Mike, I was saying, hey, do you want to play, billiard pool? He said, yes. And he's like, don't call me. Here's my number. Just text me. And I said, okay. And after we started talking a little bit, and he was saying to me, a couple things. I said, oh yeah, you're that guy, that guy that always tries to trip you every morning because you can't get up early enough in the morning. So it's a detriment, because if we put ourselves first, we've already won. If we put ourselves second or last, then we can be redeemed. Then we can be brought to the front. It's like if you go to a party, and let's say there's a VIP section, and you're going there and you're not sure where to sit, well, sit in the general section. And then if you're asked to go to the other section, by being redeemed, sure. So what I'm referring to, Bojan, is that, like I was mentioning about the chairs. So if you go to an event, and let's say you sit somewhere, and this event is, it's got VIP seats, so sit into the lower chairs. And then if you're invited, that's great. What I'm talking about by being redeemed is that if you come across as that person that, is looking to push their wares, or looking to, be very in someone's face, but it's always about them, it gives a certain quality and attitude that's like, I don't want to be around that person. And if somebody does that to me, what I typically will say to them is, even if it's a friend of mine, I'm like, hey, I know you're really interested in telling me about your story, and I think that's great. And the same token, I would also like to hear what some of the other people have to say. And they may get it, and then they may let them talk. But let's say they do it again. I'm like, hey, dude, remember last time I was talking about the fact that we got to give other people a chance to talk? Well, I don't think we're really doing that. I mean, you've been talking 98% of the time. And then if they keep doing that, I say, look, remember we've talked about this? If you do this again, I'm just going to say goodbye. And they like, what do you mean goodbye? I don't want to be around someone with your energy. And so what I found with the many, many years that I have been in businesses and even in relationships, people want to know that you care. People want to know that they're important. I always say to people, I'm not important. You're important. So I want to make sure that I understand what it is you want or what you need. And always take your prospect's temperature. When you take their temperature, and you can ask them something as simple as, you might have just talked to them about this whole problem that they're having. And you can say something as simple as, well, it sounds like you're definitely having a problem and it's costing you a boatload of money. And I presume that you would like to get started on resolving that problem. Yes. Or I might say something like, well, how would you like to get started on resolving that situation? So if I did a yes or no question, they could say yes or no, and then I'm over. If I say, you could definitely improve that and which steps would you like to take first? And when you do that, other people are going to be like taken back. I think a lot of salespeople today, and even a lot of relationships, don't go from the educational perspective. They're like, well, you learned that when you were like 2 years old. I don't care how old you are. It's about showing respect. It's about having integrity. And when you can do those things, I know I'm all ears, and a lot of other people are all ears. And if you're still saying to myself, hey, there's a lot of people that get ahead because, they're used to knocking people down. And although that may be true, they're going to get up the ladder and you're going to see they're going to fall down the ladder. When you progress up the ladder with grace and style, you'll find that other people help you up the ladder and you're less likely to fall down the ladder. The other thing I want to share with you whenever you engage is to be humble, be humble, be humble, be humble, right? I always tell you guys, it is an amazing privilege. It is a pleasure and is an honor to be here to create content for you guys, because I love the fact that my content is hopefully empowering you to become a better version of yourself. It is a general rule of thumb. However, we notice that a lot of people, when it comes to a monetary gain or it comes to work, or maybe even comes to a boyfriend or girlfriend you're dating, and it's about that machoism, this kind of, let's say, towers that general rule of thumb. And sometimes, you put your foot in your mouth or your foot up your butt. And I've had buddies who've done this. Oh, I didn't realize I was doing that. I didn't realize I was stepping on you. And then because they're going for that whole macho attitude, it's a little easier to fix when it's friends. When it's a business relationship, you could have spent months, years putting that together, and then you can destroy it in that fraction of a second. You're like, oh, what did I just do? Oh my gosh. So when you engage, don't engage like a bull. You want to engage, I would say, like a sparrow or like a giraffe. Now, what the heck? That's correct. Sales may not be for everyone, but when I'm saying engage, I'm referring to engagement in life. We're talking a lot about sales tonight because I do get a lot of people, Bojan, that want to learn about that and improve their business. But in life, it's important in life too, because maybe you're going after something personal, and it could be something that is really up in your head. For example, let's say that you just finished your holidays and you save some money and you want to put in this great large swimming pool, and that's great. But let's say that you could get that swimming pool installed within a month or two, but you decide to step on people's toes, including friends around you, so you can become first, so you can get that pool. Does it really make you better when you get the pool before everyone else that actually ordered it months before you? No, it doesn't. It makes you look like a first-class jerk. And so communication, engagement is something that is like a wheel of progress, or I'll call it a carousel wheel of progress, because everyone in our world wants to be liked. Everyone wants to be loved. And if they tell you that they don't, they're lying. I've had some of the most egotistical people in the world that I have coached and that have been my friends. And when they tell me that they don't care, they do care. Because when I'm not watching or they don't think I'm watching, they're looking for that approval. No, happy to answer your questions. That is perfectly fine. Our shows go anywhere from 15 minutes to 45 minutes. So we've got a few minutes yet. We'll probably go a couple more minutes and more than happy. The questions, what I will do is I will put them on because the audio only goes on to, the podcast itself. So Bojan asked another question. He was basically asking some great questions here, saying, is it a rule of thumb? And hopefully you guys have been getting the fact that, he made some good points. It has been my pleasure, Bojan, that, what we have right now is the right way to do something. Yep, tip of the iceberg. Yes, yes. Thank you, thank you. What we have is what we see on the top, but down below that iceberg could be the difference of whether that iceberg collapses or whether the iceberg is really strong. How about the foundation to a house? I know this very well because my family actually went in business to build a couple of our homes. We did it for a few years. And down in South Jersey, we got permission for our summer home to be built on spread footings. Well, down there, building on spread footings on like a beach type environment is not wise. So we challenged the town and said, hey, we don't want to build on spread footings. We want to build on pilings. So we spent a couple more months engineering that. And when we did that, we built on pilings. If you were like, why are you doing this? Because we're not trying to take the short road. And I think a lot of times it's not that people want to take the short road, or a lot of these egotistical financial people that are friends of mine, and I love them dearly, but they do know that they get in my hair sometimes. And I'm like, hey, guys, you got to drop that attitude. You got to drop that whole, I'm better than thou attitude. And you and I both know that you're not. I mean, you're one of the people, you've got lots of experience in trading, or you've got lots of experience in your profession, but that doesn't mean that you should treat me or anyone else like we're scum or the bottom of the earth. And, when I put it to them that way, they say to me, hey, John, it wasn't anything personal. We didn't mean it. And I said, I know you didn't mean it, but I'm a person. I have feelings, and other people have feelings too. So if that's the case, why do we still need to appear higher than thou? And they tell me they just get in the zone. And I come back and tell them, then I guess being with me probably isn't worth your time. You'd rather be in the zone than be around me. And they're like, what do you mean? I'm not going to hang with you anymore if you keep this, heavier than thou attitude. And they start to pause back. But when they really get it is when they do it and I go away. And they're like, what happened? I said, I told you that I'm not going to put up with this. So I'm saying goodbye. And that was temporary. But if you keep it up, it'll be permanent. And some people will get it and some people won't get it. And you'll start to realize that engagement, the type of engagement, okay, even if we're talking about engagement to get married, it all starts with a very playful, as I said the other night, type of curious, fun, engaging courting, where you're asking questions. You're not expecting marriage tomorrow, but you're engaging that person. You want to get to know them. And the same thing in business. So if we make that choice, if we project our energy, definitely many of you will want to go back and listen or watch my cast on energy, because we're all energy, and the intention that I have in my heart is actually what's going to show through. People can literally pay attention. Thank you so much, Bojan. I appreciate that. And I love getting people hooked, because if I help people make a difference in their life, I feel so great about myself. There was a lady, I think it was about 6 months ago, and I don't share the story to give myself a pat on the back, but I share the story because I want to show you and tell you what someone was able to do. This lady was listening to my, actually watching the cast here live, and she was from another part of the world, and she was having trouble because she told me she had 5 jobs. And she said, hey, John, this nonsense doesn't work for me. It'll work for you. And I'm just like, what do you mean? You always being positive. I believe you, but it doesn't work for me. You don't understand. I'm in my third marriage. I have 5 jobs and I'm barely able to pay my rent. They're coming after me for money, for collections. And all I said to her was, look, I understand that you have this perspective right now. It's a perspective. You got where you are today because of the thoughts you had yesterday. You'll get tomorrow in the future for the thoughts you have today and forward. And I said, I'll tell you what, I'm willing to help you free of charge. All right. And we'll make a difference in your life. Give me 1 week with you, 7 days. And all I ask is that you do what I say without question. So we had a couple sessions. First session, second session, she called me back and she was like, exactly. Well, sounds like she has, well, yes, very good observation there, Bojan. It's a perspective. So whenever I try to help people, because I've coached people for a while, it is their perspective, the way people see life. It is their perspective. And whenever I try to get people to change, I don't want to change them. I want to change the behavior. I always say that, you're a great person. So after the second day or third day, she's like, this isn't working to me. Still a problem. They're coming after me with this. So we worked on the technique a little more. And finally, she called me back this time on day 6. And I was like, some things you really, well, that's true. So when you change a mindset, you change the behavior. So when we want to change a behavior, we have to change their perspective or the lens that they're looking through the world in. And that affects the energy. Yes, correct. It is a process. That's absolutely correct. It absolutely is a process. So on day 6, she called me. And I was like, I'll just call her Mary. That's not her name. Mary. Remember I said you have to give it 7 days. She's like, oh, John, she says, I have some news I have to share with you. I said, okay. And she says, you're not going to believe what happened. I said, no, what happened? She says, well, I was at my job today. I said, which one? She says, well, one of them. She said, the night job. I said, okay. And I decided that I'm going to quit my job. I said, you're going to quit your job? She said, yeah, but don't worry. I quit my job and I actually found another job that could replace all those 5 jobs. I work less time now. I get paid 3 times what I was making with all those jobs. And I'm really happy. I said, well, that's fantastic. Remember when I was telling you the kids that were all moving out? I have 4 grandkids and 3 of them were moving away because their parents, and the one was still in town. I said, yes. She says, well, the other have decided to move back to my town. In fact, on my street, they're buying a house. I said, that's amazing. She said, remember I told you about the landlord that I couldn't afford to pay the rent and it was just becoming really treacherous. They were getting ready to evict me. I said, yeah, I remember. She says, I got a letter in the mail yesterday. I said, what did it say? It said something to the effect, do you have the letter handy? She said, I don't have it handy. I want to thank you for being the person that you are. And I can see that I may have misjudged you. I want to just ask you for 1/3 of the rent that you owe me and not a penny more. And you could pay 1/3 of the rent for as long as you need to stay here. Her eyes, her body, the energy just kind of really just flowed out so positively. And I said, what about those other things? She says, oh, the parking tickets. She says, I'm working with a collection agency. And because of the money I make now, I'll have them all paid off in less than 3 months. And there's no more judgments coming against me. I said, that's amazing. And she said, John, she says, I owe it to you. I said, well, really, you owe it to yourself. I didn't do anything. I guided you, but you did the work. And so a perspective is where we are right now. And the reason people get like this is because they treat, when they get up in the morning, maybe they stub their toe, they bump their elbow, they drop a orange juice glass. And they go in this spiral down and they keep saying, oh my gosh, oh, it's gonna be the rest has been a bad day. So what I do if something happens, because you could always drop something, bump your toe, bump your arm, whatever. I just say, you know what? Cancel. Or I say, okay, I bumped my arm. I broke a glass. The rest of my day is going to be an amazing day. Let me clean this up. And I see it as a bump in the road. If you remember going on a trip maybe several years ago and you went over that bump, do we still talk about that bump from several years ago? No, it was a bump in the road. Same thing happened with her. Well, ladies and gentlemen, and also Bojan, I want to thank you specifically for engaging with me tonight. I hope that you guys found this to be amazing. Let's see. John, you are great. I agree with at least 30% of what you're talking about. Could you let me know how do I send you a message? Oh, so you can comment on any of the videos. So you can go to believemeachieve.com. And on there, you can comment below any of the videos. This video will be live tomorrow on the YouTube channel, John C. Morley, Serial Entrepreneur. And definitely there. But, that's a great thing, Bojan, because, I never expect people, yes, believemeachieve.com. You can scan the QR code as well, Bojan, and you'll see all my great information, as well as my live talk show called IFYL, Drive Time Radio, every Tuesday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern. And so it's actually 10:05. And so when someone starts to drink the Kool-Aid, right, they never believe all of it. And everything is a process. So the fact that, we can agree with some things. I know being an engineer, I might have not agreed with the entire process up front, but when I got a chance to experiment with it and play with it in my own life, I'm like, there really is a madness case for Ohm's law, or there really is a way to figure this out, and there is a good reason for it. And when we get that, we start to realize that, yes, there's a purpose. And so when we do things from a purpose, we'll choose to engage. I hope you guys have all had an amazing evening with me. We are on day 2. We will be going all the way through to day 7. Check out some of my great content. Yes, take care, John. I am out. I appreciate you. It was wonderful. I hope you'll pop in again or watch the replays. Remember to go to my YouTube channel, ladies and gentlemen. But remember to like, love, comment, share, tag your friends, colleagues, and associates. Share this out with everyone you know on social media. Go to my YouTube channel, John Space C Space Emerald Y Space Serial Entrepreneur. Look for that key phrase, help keep your content free. Click on the PayPal button. Make the choice to buy my team and I a hot beverage, a bowl of fruit, or a delicious dessert. Either way, we'll be grateful with those pennies and dollars. We'll invest into new hardware, new technology, new equipment, new software, even new facilities to give you the most jaw-dropping, empowered content to allow you to change your life. It's been a privilege. It's been real. And I can't wait to be back with you guys real soon. Take care. And have a great night, everyone.